What's going on, Smitties? It is Patrick here, and welcome to the Ultimate Zombie Map Challenge Round 2. Guys, we have Call of the Dead versus Mob of the Dead. Now, if you're enjoying this series, I please ask that you leave a like. Also, I now have Twitter, which you can go follow me down in the link in the description at TheSmithPlays. But apart from that, let's get into it. Alright guys, so starting off, we're going to look at gameplay aspects of each map. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at for this is the setup. What map is more fun to get your guns, get your perks, pack a punch, and things of this nature. And I gotta say, both maps do an excellent job with this. We're into round 2 now. We're not dealing with some punk-ass newbie maps. We got the best 8 here. And, these both of these maps, Call of the Dead and Mob of the Dead, do a great job. Call of the Dead, it's really fun. I always enjoy setting up on Call of the Dead. It's a good time. However, I feel like Mob of the Dead, they did an amazing job. Such a good job. There's just so many things you can do. For that reason, we're going to go 5 points to Mob of the Dead and 3 to Call of the Dead. Now, moving on from here, we're going to look at post setup, and this is pretty much everything that isn't set up. So you got, once you have everything, once you have your guns and your pack-a-punched, do you want to get to that high round, or do you get bored and feel like quitting? And I think that both maps do a really equal job here. Both maps have different areas where you can train. They have, bosses like George, Brutus that kind of switch things up, keep you focused, keep you, on your toes. And I really do think that both maps do a really good job. So we're going to go 3-3 to both. The last thing that we're going to look at for gameplay aspects is the difficulty. And this is essentially what map is more closer to that perfect level of not too hard and not too easy. I feel like Mob of the Dead is a map that's a good example of something that just went a little too easy on us. You get your upgraded Blundergat with the electric cherry and the shield, and it's really easy to make it to a high round. It's still challenging, but it's just really easy to get out of any problem. Whereas Call of the Dead is really close to that perfect level of not too hard and not too easy. You have to stay on your toes, but at the same time, it's not so hard that nobody can do it. So I think that they did a really good job here. We're going to go 4 points to Call of the Dead and 2 to Mob of the Dead. Now from here, guys, we're going to kind of move away from gameplay aspects and look at more the innovativeness of each map. And the first thing that we're going to look at are the perks for 4 points. So each map had one new perk. Call of the Dead had Deadshot, and Mob of the Dead had Electric Cherry. And I think that we can all agree that Electric Cherry is definitely the better perk. It's really cool. Probably one of my favorite perks of all time. And I think that they did a great job. On the other hand, Deadshot's not a totally awful map. I just think Electric Cherry's better. So we're going to go 3 points to Electric Cherry and 1 to Call of the Dead's Deadshot. Now, another thing that we want to look at are the weapons, more specifically the wonder weapons. Call of the Dead had 2 pretty good wonder weapons, whereas Mob of the Dead had 1 really awesome one. And I feel like that kind of balances out. With Call of the Dead, they went innovative and they gave us 2. They had the Scavenger and then the Shark Gun. Whereas Mob of the Dead had a really cool, the Blundergat, which had some upgrades and stuff. But I think overall, this is pretty balanced. So we're going to go 2 points to each map. Moving on to the bosses for each map. So, Mob of the Dead had Brutus. He was a pretty good boss. He spawns in, he does his thing, he messes you up, he screws you over. But Call of the Dead had George. And George was probably one of the most innovative bosses of all time. He was like the first really, solo boss who would just follow you around, or, not some sort of horde of bosses. And I really think that was an awesome and innovative thing. So we're going to go 3 points to Call of the Dead on this one and 1 to Mob. The last thing that we're going to look at for innovativeness is just an overall take on the map. Now, Mob of the Dead is honestly one of the most innovative maps of Call of Duty history. You have the plane, which was such a cool idea. You have to build this whole thing, which requires a bunch of teamwork and everything to get to Pack-a-Punch. You had the Hell's Redeemer and the Retriever. Probably my favorite thing of Black Ops 2 Zombies. Amazing idea. Mob of the Dead was just full of great ideas like this, and they did a wonderful job. Call of the Dead didn't do a bad job, but it's really hard to compete with Mob of the Dead, one of the most innovative maps of all time. We're going to go 6 points to Mob of the Dead and 2 to Call of the Dead. Alright guys, the last thing that we're going to look at is the storyline. And I feel like both of these maps are really similar. You got Mob of the Dead, Call of the Dead, similar names. And they're kind of similar stories. They're both not related really to the actual long storyline, but they're both really cool storylines. You have this group of actors who's stranded on this island, and you have these gangsters who are stranded on this island, right? But overall, both storylines are really, really good. So we're gonna go 2.5 points to each side. I really do like both these stories. In round 1, we had an all or nothing bonus system for the zombie feel factor, and that was worth 5 points. Now, I've talked to a lot of you guys, and you felt like I should change this up and make it so it isn't just 5 points all or nothing. So what we're going to do in round 2 and probably further rounds is we're going to make it just like every other challenge where there's 5 points up for grabs, and whichever map does a better job will take an according amount. Now, that being said, let's look at these two maps. Mob of the Dead is a really, really good map for the zombie feel. I mean, when I play this, I get chills down my spine. It's just so cool and just so fresh, and I always look forward to playing this map. Call of the Dead also does a really good job. I didn't play a lot of zombies back then, but it's still one of those maps that just really stood out to me as a great zombie feel map. It's just an awesome, awesome map. The only thing that Call of the Dead really did wrong was the fog. That really takes away from the map. It really just doesn't give it a good atmosphere. But we're going to go 3 points to Mob of the Dead and 2 to Call of the Dead. All right, guys, that is it for my half. We have Mob of the Dead at 27.5 points and Call of the Dead at 22.5. I now leave it up to you. In the comment section below, please comment what map you like more. You don't have to give a big explanation. All you have to do is say MOTD or COTD. That's all I need. If you're enjoying the series, guys, again, I ask that you like this video. I actually have a concussion right now, and I'm not even supposed to be on this computer, but I wanted to get this out to you guys. So like I said, if you could like it, I don't often ask for likes. It's only when I do a good job on videos, and I feel like I'm doing a great job with this. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Peace out.